Hello, this is group number 6 and we are working on the project groundwater prediction and analysis. We are also working on the data visualization of the same using Android app and web interface which we have created. So the focused area for our project is Yechi village, which is in Osmanabad. And this is Swetna Tribhuvan and I'll be giving you all a brief demo about the Android app which we have created for our project. We are going to be using this to take the input from the people in the village Yechi, and this app is made as user friendly and as easy as possible for people in the village to understand. So let's start with our basic login page where we will be taking where a user will be signing in. So based on that, whenever a data is added to the database, we will understand which user or which volunteer is exactly adding the data. So that is the main purpose of logging in, and the person will be able to view their bore wells and wells and the data about them. The important part here is the Google sign in, because this is the Google authentication. So when we click on going to take us to the Google authentication server, and through this we can sign in through with the help of Google sign in. If I press the back button, it is going to show me that the sign in has been cancelled. So this is how a user will be able to sign in. We have also created forms for if a person cannot remember a password and whether the person has an account or no. So if the person does not have an account, he or she can register for the same. Okay, coming back to the demo, once the user has signed into the account, he or she will be directed to the home page. So as you can see, the home page consists of a map. The marker has been set on Yechi village, which is in Osmanabad, which is our main focused area. Our app also consists of a dashboard, which gives us a graph of the data relates. We have a demand analysis system. So as you can see from this, that our the demand analysis system is giving us a basic understanding of the usage of water based on time period. We can also give that the demand analysis page is a rough estimation about the water that is being extracted from the village based on their daily, weekly, monthly and yearly basis. And as it is mentioned here that the groundwater remaining, so this is like a rough estimation of the amount of water which is remaining throughout the village. So this is the demand analysis of Yechi village. We have provided, as you can see in the navigation bar, we have provided this symbols are indicating for various forms. So we have so people from the village can actually add data about wells, about bore wells, their recharge structures, rainfall, water quality, etc. So I'm going to be showing you all these forms. So coming to bore well data, so for the bore well data, a person can add various situations. For instance, the person wants to add or register a borewell, or the water structure level, or the person wants to actually check the water structure level or the water level. The person wants to add the water level of the borewell. The borewell section is going to take in the pictures of the borewell and the pumping hours, which is going to give us a overall understanding of the variation of the water and discharge rate. So coming to the register borewell, as you can see, it is asking for a borewell code. So every borewell is going to have a unique borewell code, which will help us differentiate and understand which borewell it is that the person is focusing on. The borewell owner name, volunteer name, address. Okay, so the volunteer name is, since we have a few volunteers in Yechi village who are helping us out with this process, they are the volunteers who are actually providing us the accurate data from the village itself. So this is what includes the address, borewell elevation, the borewell depth. It's based on purpose. So what exactly is the purpose of the borewell, and the ownership of who exactly is owning the borewell and for what purpose. Here they can add pictures of the borewell if necessary. So I'll give you. So as you can see, the picture will be displayed right here. Yeah. So now since our Android app is connected to the server, so the minute that sorry, say the person is adding a picture of the borewell and they hit the submit button. So this is a bad request since the other values have not been filled as per our server. These values should be contained, so the response came as bad response. So coming to the water structure level, this is going to tell us the water structure level based on different levels. So the feet one, the top, this first value being the top value and this being the lower value. So we will have to provide a borewell code. So let's give a demo of the same. 700. These are just demo values. The message it created. So this data has been added to our database, which will be shown later by Dylan. Coming to our water level, this is a form which is going to provide us with the exact water level of the borewell. So this is the date when the recording has been done, the variation on that date, whether the water is available or it is a borewell which has been closed down. So that is going to help us provide information again about whether a borewell is functioning or whether the borewell is not functioning. Pre-monsoon, post-monsoon and potentiometric values are also helping us understand the water level exactly, the amount of water that is available in the system. The borewell section is again providing us a picture image of the borewell section. Coming to pumping hours, the pumping hours is giving us the variation level and the discharge rate per minute, which I told you about initially. So in summer, what exactly is the variation of water in the borewell? In monsoon, what is the same, and in the winters, the same value. So the discharge rate per minute is given based on that. The well is going to have a similar structure which consists of register, water struct level, well water level, well section, pumping hours, pumping test. So the only difference here is going to be the pumping test, which provides us these values. So based on what exactly is the season and for what crops is the well actually providing water, what is the area under cultivation, so how much water is going to be used, this is going to be given by this form. So the method also is going to be given by this form. Coming back to our recharge structure. So our recharge structure is going to be this basic form to add the recharge structure into the system, or we will be calculating the same through this. So a user can actually calculate the recharge volume and the need based on these two. So based on the data that is actually being used and the data which is provided to us, we can calculate the need and the volume of the recharge structure. The rainfall. So rainfall is playing a very important role, crucial role in our function. So we will be adding the amount of rainfall that is actually the amount of rainfall that is recorded during the time period, which will help us understand how much is the borewell actually filling up because of the rain and what exactly is happening. So this is to add a new station which will be helping us to record the rain data again. Now the water quality. So it is very important to understand what is the water quality that is there based on well or borewell. So well, this based on well or borewell, we'll be adding the water quality based on the borewell ID. We'll understand which borewell it is that the person is trying to talk about, and the water quality will be given by these factors. So the temperature, pH level, salinity, TDS, and EC. So all these factors help us understand how pure it is that the water is, whether it is able, whether we can use it for drinking or whether we can't use it for drinking, or what exactly is the purpose. So this is our Android app. We have tried to make it as easy and as user friendly as possible. And thank you.
This is Michaela Narona. I was in charge of doing the data analysis and data mining for our project. I did so using our programming language. We tested a total of 8 models, out of which linear regression, gradient boosting, and time series analysis were the ones that gave us the highest prediction. What you can see on the left hand side, on the right hand side, is a plot of the time series analysis. This plot explains to us the amount of data that we have given to it. So it's depending. It gives us a analysis of the depth, the elevation, latitude, longitude, these are basically our tuple values. And it's telling us how it is going to range from the year 2020 to 2100. While performing linear regression, our min-max value showed us an efficiency of 96%, which is extremely high for our model, hence proving that the model that was predicted proved to be really efficient. Moving forward, this is our gradient boosting model. Over here, the gradient boosting model is giving us the effective relevance and the relative interference between each of between each of the coefficients. This gives us the positive plot and is giving us the values of our elevation value. This gives us the same iterative graph for the amount of rain, that is our tuple value again from our data set. The next graph is the number of iterations performed. So basically gradient boosting is a combination of it does a lot of random forest and it's based on decision trees. So this is showing the number of trees. 10,000 is the number of decision trees that were needed for our graph. This is the mean square value error. So what this basically tells us is that at zero, that means when there were no iterations done, there were a lot of errors because obviously there were no iterations done. But as we move forward with our data, as the number of iterations increased, at 5,000, the mean square value came to a standstill and it hasn't increased since 5,000, which basically means that at 5,000 we reached our optimal value, and at 5,000 there were no more errors observed. So 5,000 is an optimal number of trees that were needed and the optimal number of iterations that were needed. So this was a basic understanding of our machine learning model, and this was a basic understanding of all the work that was done using data mining, clustering, and supervised and unsupervised learning.
Hi, this is Dylan DaCosta, and I've been working on the web page and backend of our project. In this video, I'll be giving you a quick tour of our currently running website called Mahabhujal and its functionalities. So the website has been made using Django framework, which is a model view template based framework, which provides us with a simple predefined structure for a web app. This is our home page. This gives us a little information about what we do, a little information about us, a brief about our mission and the team, as well as contact details to get in touch with us. We'll be visiting our dashboard. Our dashboard is where we display all the important statistics we've received from the volunteers in the field. The chart section. The chart section shows a few details about borewell and well status, ownership, and borewell usage and well usage as well. As you can see, we have different types of charts ranging from donut charts to pie charts to bar graphs. All the data is dynamic and is taken from our backend. The report section of this page gives us an option to download all the data that we have in our backend, which might be useful for other people who are using the site. So we have multiple forms. Since it's a participatory approach, we have chosen volunteers or users who register on our site can register their wells, bore wells, and nearby recharge structures through forms provided on our website. These forms are also linked to our backend and Android using REST API. Let me show you a little about how our REST APIs are made. So as you can see, we have made the REST APIs using serializers. Serializers basically convert all the data in our database into JSON format, which is readable by other applications. These are our views for the REST APIs, and these are the URLs for all our REST APIs that have been made. So we have serializers made for each one of serializers and views made for each one of these endpoints. Next, I'll be showing you all our backend. So based on the serializers and views I showed you all earlier, we did a dummy test for our Android application to see if it was committing to our backend. So this first entry ABCD was a dummy data that was sent using our Android app, and the register was user was registered successfully. We can also check out our hosting at dbitbproject.herokuapp.com. So Heroku is basically a cloud based service provider which lets us host our web apps using Django online. So as you can see, this is our dashboard where we have made multiple commits, and it shows us a successful deployment using our GitHub repository. That's it for the tour. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is a little of our code. As you can see, the APIs are made using serializers. So what do serializers do? Serializers convert the data from our database into JSON format, which is readable by other apps. Each of these serializers are made separately for each of the views. So let's see the views. These are the views for each and every one of the endpoints of our APIs. These are only the Borewell views. Similarly, we have made views for each and every form on our web page. These are the URLs for each and every endpoints. So we have used Postman to check whether our APIs are working. So as you can see, this is one of the get APIs that we have put in the field here. And as you can see, if we send a request, you can see that our data has been fetched and showed us in JSON format here. The same with the post request. So say if I change a field here and I make it 55 and I send the post, so it's changed here and it shows us a 201 created. Thank you.